Aloha gang, Dr. Russ Rosen here, and welcome to the OHC System Interviews with Greats. We have a very special guest with us today. We've been laughing a whole bunch in our bloopers trying to get this thing going, and that's Dr. Lance Baye. Dr. Baye, welcome aboard.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, really glad to have you here, buddy. So listen, gang, I know you're going to really want to hear this because this guy is one of the great communicators. You know, I'm very proud of our work that we do. I know that it helps people become better communicators. This guy is absolutely one of the greats, and you're going to want to hear some of what he's talking about with his patients. He's got an over 90% sign-up rate. So person comes in to visit one and visit two. Over 90% of them sign up for what he recommends, and he has an over 90 PVA. So he's got to be doing something right. So Dr. Baye, I want you to tell us a little bit about how you got into chiropractic, and then we're going to jump right into this very specific discussion that you're having with your patients about damage and repair.
Okay. Well, I've been a chiropractor for over 20 years now. When I very first started out after high school, I actually went into the military. Spent 4 years in the Air Force. Really enjoyed my time there, but I knew that's not what I wanted to do for a career. Decided to go to college, and during my stint in undergrad, happened to have some discussions with an uncle of mine who was a chiropractor, and it really helped point me in this direction. And I really enjoy what I do. So I'm glad that this was the route chosen for me.
Yeah, and I'll say for the listeners here that, you know, one of the things that I enjoy the most is getting to work with doctors like Dr. Baye, who you're one of these guys who actually takes all of our information and then makes it yours. You know, I've learned this from this guy and this from this guy, and you use this as a foundation, and you're always upping your game. You're always becoming better at what you're doing and taking, you know, my stuff and your stuff and making it, you know, yours, which is why we end up having this conversation. Also, I would say that I get to hear testimonials. I get to hear what kind of results you're getting with your patients, and you get amazing results. But the reality is that's going to help with your retention and referrals. But as far as your sign-up rate, so much of that has to do with what happens in visit one and visit two. And you really do, you know, your consult is very, very strong. Your transition, your exam, it's all really, really strong. You get into the report of findings, you're doing pretty much all the things that we talk about. A huge nuance that you're doing is this discussion you're having about damage and repair. So talk to me, how is that fitting into your practice?
So as we discussed earlier, during the day one, I do use the chiropractic premise part of your discussion that you teach, which hopefully everybody that's listening to this knows what that is. And I feel like the damage versus repair talk that I give in day two kind of ties back into that. So I feel that that's the connection.
Okay. Just for listeners, we're talking about the transition between the consult into the exam. You know, brain, spinal cord, nerve root cell, if it flows, a better chance of being healthy, what happens, cut, blah, blah, blah. So all that stuff that we talk about, he's doing a good job. And he's really making sure that they get it. He's not just telling it, but he's asking questions along the way, and they're getting it. I've heard live ones. They're really, really good. Now we get to the report of findings. How do we integrate this concept of damage versus repair?
So I kind of had to rearrange it. And again, I'm assuming that the people that are listening to this kind of know your report, you know, that ROF and what have you. And I rearranged that a little bit to kind of fit what I do, which you just mentioned earlier. When we get into the damage versus repair, I'm doing that right before I go over my scan results with patients. So I'm readdressing what they're coming in for. I'm letting them know that I've had an opportunity to, and also that first part, the review and presentation, like that's all done exactly the same way that you teach it. And I'm letting them know that I reviewed their films, I've reviewed their scan results, very clear what we have going on. I do believe we can help them. That's when I go into this particular talk, the damage versus repair. I just let them know straight ahead. Look, the truth is our bodies are always trying to heal. It's always trying to repair ourselves. It's the brain that regulates that ability. But at any time, anything we do has the potential to be damaging to that nerve system. So as long as my ability to repair is equal to or above the amount of damage I place on myself, I'm good. But if ever the damage would supersede my ability to repair, that's when the nerve system can take a hit. The truth is, the more often that happens, the bigger the hit typically is. And then I roll right into the HRV. I say, look, this heart rate variability test shows us the effects of stress on your nervous system. That white dot should be inside the green box. Yours is low and to the left. Now, I can't tell you when that nervous system was overwhelmed, but I do know at some point it was. The likelihood is it's having trouble rebounding and getting back to where it needs to be. And as long as you're in this particular situation, your ability to heal yourself is limited. That's how that conversation happens.
Yeah, it's beautiful. So if I've had more damage than repair, then odds are I'm in the shape I'm in. Mm-hmm. Right? It's just a simple concept. One of the things I heard on a live one that you did was you said, and when we see more damage than repair, well, you end up in an office like mine. Mm-hmm. Right? I love those kinds of conversations that you're having. So now they understand, obviously I've had more damage than repair. We figured that out in the consult of 3 dimensions of stress and how it's affecting their life. We did all that kind of stuff. We can bring it back with, look, you were hit by a car, you were raised by wolves, sold to the circus, you've done crack cocaine, you've done all these kinds of things. This all makes sense. So again, this is how it all ties together with this damage versus repair. And then as far as, you can show them the scans and you show them the HRV, and clearly that's what's going on with you. And so now in my recommendations, am I going to be talking with them about my part is to be adjusting you and helping to repair, and your part is to decrease the damage? How do you bring that in with them?
Well, for me, I guess, and again, everybody might be a little bit different on what they're bringing to the table in terms of types of treatments that they offer inside their clinics. You probably have clients that want to deal with nutrition, that want to deal with stress management, those types of things. That's just not something I'm interested in doing. Right. So for me, I talk about the things that I offer in the office, more so than the effects of them reducing stress or improving with nutrition or those types of things. So the techniques I use in the office, one of the things you've helped me with a ton is connecting that to the up the tube, down the tubes chart. So it's pretty simple to say, well, look, we know you're going to get here, like the comfort zone as an example.
Yeah, when you said you were listening, we're talking about this right here.
Right, that chart. We know you're going to get to here when you're coming in and I'm doing my analysis and there's very little for me to do from an adjustment perspective. Right. We're also going to see in your scans that we're expecting these types of changes. And then you can use that same analogy when they get to excellent or if they choose to go all the way to optimal health. Yeah. This is what we expect to see. This is why. This is how long, so like for me with my technique, a person might be able to hold their adjustment or come in, as we say, check clear, over 24 hours or 48 hours or 72 hours. It definitely doesn't mean that they're good to go forever. It's just that that's how long that's lasting until the next time we need to check them. Right. So it allows us to know when it's appropriate to start reducing our frequency of care. Right. So when we know that a person is excellent, they're coming in, I might not have seen them for a week or 2 weeks and they're still checking clear, right, which is fabulous.
So again, what Dr. Baye is talking about is remember, -10 means near death, and how we know is because you're near death. 0 is comfort, you're feeling good. If we redid all your tests, they're not going to be clear, but you feel good. +10 means that you're at optimal health, and how we know is your range of motion is good, your posture is good, your symptoms, you feel good, your scans are good, your x-rays are going to look like this. So we're always very clear about what they should expect, and some of what Dr. Baye does, and we've talked about this, and I've just did a recording on this subject that I'll get out soon, is this piece about, and how will we know when we get there? How will we know when we get to a +2? How will we know when we get to a +4? Well, range of motion should be better, posture, I don't think scans would be better yet. You should be coming in with little to nothing to do. I mean, if they're actually getting better, shouldn't I be reducing care because they're coming in with hardly anything to do versus just, well, my technique guru said go 3 times a week for a month and then go to 2 times a week. And that's something that Dr. Baye has really adopted and doing a great job with. I will mention that for those of you who are doing more of the 3D kind of stuff, when you're talking about the reported findings part and you're saying, so I'm going to recommend about this many visits over this period of time, here's what we should expect to see. Now that's my part. My part is what I'm going to be doing here, and I'm going to be doing these particular techniques, and this is how we're affecting your nervous system, etc. And I know, you talk about neurostacking, and you talk about, Pentium 1 processor to Pentium 1 4 processor become of the style of work that you do. And if you are helping people with eating better and exercising and dealing with stress, that's where we get to say you're going to do your part. You're going to start doing these things and decreasing your stress. I'm going to do this part, which is going to be increasing your repair. And if I can get repair above damage, then you can go up. If I can get repair to meet damage, you can stay where you're at. But if you can have more repair than you have damage, you can actually heal and get better. And that's what's going to cause you to go back up the tubes, back up towards optimal health. And again, here's how we'll know when we got there. So there's no guessing. There isn't just some, well, I said so because, yeah, you must be there, like I'm a psychic. No, we're very clear about these are the objective tests. This is subjectively what you should experience to get repair above damage. We can get you to these kinds of places. And I think it's just a brilliant conversation that you're having with these folks. Any other things you'd like to add to that?
No, I mean, I think you covered that really well. And hopefully a lot of the clients that you deal with are also doing the scans. If they're truly going in that direction where they're wanting to be able to help people get to the point where they're overcoming the stresses they're dealing with, regardless of their techniques, I think that's the easiest way to track it, is to look at that HRV and see if that's moving in the right direction. Because if you're just basing it off of how people feel, you really don't know.
No. Yeah, I mean, if we're basing it off of how they feel, at least I know they're at a 0. But as far as being able to objectify it up to a 10, I really can't. I mean, unless I have other, other doctors using other things like EEGs and neurofeedback and all that kind of stuff, and they have ways of measuring it far out. But as long as you have a way of measuring it, that's great. But, if we're going to have this conversation with people, we want to be able to, prove our case.
Well, but that's also part of the retention. That's also part of the PDA. We have measures in place that we can check our progress.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. And of course, then does it make a difference if people are coming in from referrals? And gosh, what's percentage? I mean, you have such a high referral rate. What's your percentage of new patient referrals? Like
almost 100. I don't do any advertising.
Yeah. So, I mean, these people are coming in and they're going, yeah, but my doctor, does this. My doctor can show that. It's this, being able to help people understand 0 means and here's how we know, 10 means and here's how we know. And people being able to show their friends, look at my before scans, look at my after scans. Take a look at, how I look at my HRV. This means that I'm actually healing. I'm in more repair than I am damage, right? Yeah. It's just such a simple concept that everybody understands.
And that's what they want to see. When they come in, they want to know. I get asked every day, well, when's my next scan? When can we check on this?
Yeah.
That kind of stuff.
Yeah, very cool.
They want to see it.
Yeah, good. So, gang, I hope you got a lot out of this. Look, you can do this too. You can be a great communicator too. You just got to study this stuff, work on it. Again, one of the best things that I see is, when we do these and then we record and listen to live ones and, we look for blind spots, I can say that the ones I've actually done with you are probably in the best 1 or 2 I've ever heard. It's so funny with most people when I'm listening to live ones, there's a lot of blind spots. And I keep pausing it and going, man, did you hear that? Can you hear the lull in their voice? Did you see they weren't buying you? You missed this point with you. Mostly I'm listening and going, man, that's really, really good. That's really great stuff. But it took a lot of work for you to get there. Hey, gang, so here's the deal. We had some technical difficulties and then we couldn't get back on. But we had pretty much wrapped it up. I hope that you found value in that you become a master in your communications. I really like this concept of damage versus repair. And, you watch these. If you find value in them, please let us know. If you have questions, anything we can do to help you out, let us know that too. If you, here it is right here, haven't done this yet, you can check out the 8 Steps book to have your patients happily stay, pay, and refer for a lifetime. Great stuff in here. There's a bonus section you can go to online and download a bunch of information. Please forward this to everyone you know. If you're serious about really growing your practice in an optimal health kind of model, we can help. Flip us an email, give us a call, whatever you like. As always, much love and aloha. Bye, gang.